What's going on, YouTube? This is BoxingWave, and welcome to the channel. It's a lot of new viewers here. All right, shout out to everyone that was here yesterday during the live commentary that I did covering the fight. All right, had a great time, had a lot of viewers, and we had fun. Okay, I think the majority of us agreed on how we saw the fight going. Okay, I know there's a lot of controversy going on with AJ and what he said and what he did after the fight was over. And we'll touch on that at some point in this video. But we don't want to completely ignore what took place yesterday. I thought the fight was a great fight. And we're going to definitely speak on the fight. I want to talk about the fight round by round and how I saw the fight. I did get a chance to review the fight again today. I didn't see the fight any differently. You know, I just wanted to refresh the fight so I could be able to talk about it. Usually I do fight reaction right after the fight. All right, I didn't do that yesterday because I had to run out, but I was able to watch the fight again. Didn't really notice anything new this time around. You know, I thought it was pretty easy to score on my end. There are 2 rounds in this fight that I do believe that were swing rounds. One I gave to Joshua and one I gave to Usyk. But for the most part, I picked Usyk. You know, I thought Usyk won. I thought he won 7 rounds to 5. And it was a good fight. You know, some of you got to see it differently. I think the majority that was watching it yesterday with me said 7 rounds to 5 for Usyk. I saw some 8 rounds to 4 for Usyk. I saw a couple draws in there, and I also saw a few people that believed that AJ won the fight. All right. As far as the scorecards are concerned, I know people are upset at the split decision. Right. I obviously think Usyk did enough to clearly win the fight, but the fight was very close and it was very competitive every single round. Outside of the 9th and 10th rounds for both AJ and Usyk, I don't think there was any really other dominant rounds between the two. I think they both did well throughout the entire fight. All right. So anyway, the prediction was right. You know, I picked Usyk to win. I wanted AJ to win. I was rooting for AJ, but I predicted Usyk to win by a decision. And the reason why I did that was because I was just more sure of what Usyk can do, because what Usyk has done throughout his professional career was be very consistent, right? Whereas AJ, I wasn't really sure how things was going to work out. I figured that he would do better. Because I thought he could have done better in the first fight, right? But now that he got with Robert Garcia, I didn't really know how AJ was going to go do in this fight, not based on ability, but mainly on mentally. What was he going to do? How was he going to improve? I figured that the fight would be closer, and it was closer, but I still picked Usyk only because I know for a fact what he brings to every fight. And I know that he has a better engine than just about all of these guys, all right? You're going to see him fighting at a high pace throughout an entire fight, whereas these bigger heavyweights are not going to have that same engine. Even the cruiserweights, you know, really good ones like Michael Hunter at the time, Breedis, you know, Bellew, all these other guys that did well against Usyk. Usyk always finished stronger, all right? But I was very impressed with AJ, and I liked what he did. And I want to congratulate the both of them, because Usyk is starting, and pretty much at this point, you can make the debate that he's already an all-time great. And I believe that he's already a Hall of Famer, even if he had lost his fight, being undisputed at cruiser, being a unified 3-belt or IBO, you know, now ring magazine belt, unified champion. You know, had his defense against AJ. I think he's already a Hall of Famer. And for AJ, he definitely improved with me. And I love the performance outside of everything, because I know everybody is talking about AJ and his rant at the end and the disrespect with the belts and being thrown and some of the things he said. I understand that, but I don't want to take away for the actual fight. The fight was still a very good fight. I enjoyed it. It was very intense. You guys saw it in my face while I was covering the fight. Not only was I trying to give you the best commentary that I could, but I was actually enjoying it as a fan, you know. Very suspenseful. And AJ has improved dramatically over the years. And I'm going to go as far as saying that even in defeat, this was probably the best AJ that I've seen, with a mix of him being very technical as a boxer, but him being aggressive at the same time. So even though he lost a fight, and I believe he lost the fight, I think the better man really won, and I think they made the right decision by giving Usyk the win. I still think this was the best AJ that I saw, and if AJ were to go back and fight all of those guys again with this amount of improvements at this point, I think he would have beaten all of those guys even easier if he were to be the guy that he is today. But that's what the fights do. You go fight after fight after fight. You just tallying up wins, and you're just fighting better guys, and you're learning. And that's what's his main thing, like learning. I'm just trying to learn. All right. He had some downfalls. This is another downfall for him. But he needs to be proud about what he was able to do against arguably the best fighter in the world. Okay, pound for pound, wherever you have Usyk, I have him. I think he's top 2 for me, and he's been that way for a while now. I think AJ needs to be proud of himself, and Usyk should definitely be proud of what he did, because it was a lot riding on him as well for this fight, because he's fighting for his country, not just for himself, and I think that's real. All right, so let's talk about the fight. Round 1. I'm not going to go through every single round, but the key rounds that I gave, that I noticed changes, I'm going to bring up these points in each round. So I'm not going to remember every round off the top of the head, but I just want to bring on the key things that I noticed with every single round or periods of the fight. In the first round, notice that was a big difference in AJ, right? AJ gets hit at times, but his reaction, the way he react in other fights, in previous fights, not just the Usyk fight, but in previous fights, normally when AJ gets hit, he needs to reset himself. He'll step back, and then, he needs to reset himself. Whereas in this fight, whenever Usyk landed a jab in the opening round, whenever he landed a good shot, AJ just kept coming forward. He didn't change. He didn't flinch. He didn't react to anything. AJ did better. He improved. It's going to be mainly AJ, because Usyk did what he always does, whereas AJ made improvements for this fight. All right. I like the head movement. I like the upper body movement better. I like the fact that he wasn't reacting to every feint, and he wasn't reacting to Usyk's movement as much like the way he did in the previous fight. In the previous fight, AJ looked confused at times. AJ was doing better, you know what I'm saying? He was changing levels a lot. He was feinting a lot. He was timing his jab a lot, I love the way he was going to the body. I like the fact that he was being more physical and being more aggressive. He was doing all that as early as the first round. I thought the first round was very, very close. I think Usyk, you could give him the round based on him landing more punches. All right, but AJ landed a lot to the body. I gave the first round to Usyk. Okay, going into the second round, AJ came out better, right? Loved the counters, loved the body shots. He was just better overall in the second round. He just looked like a completely different boxer than what we saw in the first fight. Just looked completely different. He's, again, changing levels. He's feinting. He's boxing still. Like a lot of us just expected him to just try to run Usyk over because he was the bigger man. And I said in the breakdown, like, he's going to have to find a way. He's going to have to find that perfect balance where he needs to be more aggressive, but he needs to still box. He can't just be aggressive and be reckless. So the defense was tight with him. I love the fact that he was able to slip shots and counter pretty much the same into the third round, which I also gave to AJ. I gave the third round to AJ. I just like what he was doing. I love the body shots. I love the fact that he was just being bigger and he was boxing way better at the moment. So Usyk normally starts a little slow, and you saw it a little bit in this fight because he was forced to start a little slow and regroup a little bit and figure things out and adjust to AJ, all right? Then we go into the fourth round. Usyk Great round for Usyk. Best round, you know, that I think out of the first 4 rounds was his 4th round. Usyk started to, you know, really get the timing down, counter AJ, and AJ started to go a little bit into, and listen, I listened this time with the commentary on. I know some people were complaining about the commentary. I personally didn't have any issues with the commentary. We're not going to agree 100%, but with what the commentary was saying, I agree with for the most part. You know, I think in the 4th round, AJ, the bigger guy, fighting at that pace, you're doing well the first 3 rounds. You're doing good, regardless of how you guys scored it. But what I saw in the 4th round was I started to see that AJ started to go a little bit back into his old habits. He was fighting very tall. He wasn't, you know, he wasn't changing levels as much. And he started to be an easier target a little bit. So he got a hit a little bit more in the 4th round than we saw in the previous few rounds. So at this point, Usyk started to gather a good rhythm. Okay, he started gathering a good rhythm. Now, these middle rounds is where still very competitive. I can't remember if it's the 5th or the 6th or whatever. I think the 4th and 5th I gave the Usyk. I think there was one of those rounds where I did get the AJ. All right, but those middle rounds, I think for the most part, Usyk was getting the better of him. Now, AJ was still doing very good, landing the body shots, but as he started to slow down a little bit, Usyk started to pick up some speed. The thing about AJ, and I think the one thing that I feel that AJ did slightly better, not better, maybe not do better, but he was more successful with in the rematch or in the first fight over the rematch, is that those middle rounds when AJ started to connect with some hard shots up top, I thought in those rounds he was doing more damage to Usyk. Right? He was hitting Usyk with some pretty hard shots in the first fight, which started to mess Usyk up a little bit. You know, the bruises, the swelling that he got on his face. You saw that from the middle rounds from AJ because he started to get the time down and he started to connect with some heavy shots to the face. AJ landed some good shots up top, but the problem is a lot of the punches that AJ threw, the heavy right hands that he threw up top this time, Usyk was able to block the majority of them. His defense was very good. Now, as far as the body shots is what AJ was really gaining those points from hitting the body and just being aggressive. But in the first fight, in those middle rounds, I felt like AJ was targeting the head and he was landing a little bit better before Usyk made a second adjustment and started to take off the championship rounds. He took off and just beat AJ in all of the championship rounds, in my opinion. I think from the 9th, I think I had it the 9th to the 12th round or something like that, where I gave all of them to Usyk. All right, it wasn't like that in this fight. You know, I think in the middle rounds, I think Usyk started to pick up more steam. All right, so I think as we go on, we come to the 9th round. I believe it was the next. Yeah, it was the 9th round. 9th round, AJ's best round. AJ started to bully him. This is what we got from AJ when he fought Klitschko in that 5th round, where he was able to drop Klitschko. All right, he ambushed Klitschko, and he just started to pummel him until he knocked him down. And we got the same. Now, AJ didn't get a knockdown, but AJ was all over Usyk. All right, big round for AJ, best round for AJ, and he did a lot of damage, but also thought that he punched himself out in that round. So it took a lot of them out of that round. Then we go into the 10th, and what happens? What happens? Usyk does the same exact thing. AJ, he's fighting completely tall. His legs are tired. He's not changing levels. He's not bending as much. He's not moving as much because he's already punched himself out. He was already slower, but in that round, Usyk started to really sit down on his punches. And that's a key thing, and I want to speak on that real quick. Usyk, part of the reason why that his stamina and his conditioning is so good is that he don't waste many punches. All right? He puts a lot of pressure on you. Yes, he's doing a lot. Yes, he's throwing a lot. But a lot of those shots, the majority of them are not power shots. You know, they're just not. They're landing clean. And there was even a point in that 10th round where he was hitting AJ, but it was a lot of pity-pat punches. But that was the round where Usyk was sitting down on a lot of punches. He hit AJ with a lot of big shots, because if he was ever going to stop AJ, that was his opportunity. Just like if AJ was gonna ever stop Usyk, that ninth round was his opportunity. So as far as this action, like it being a war, the ninth and the 10th rounds were the best rounds as far as action is concerned. Before that, it was just all technical stuff, like technical boxing, high level boxing, in my opinion. I loved it. All right, we go into the 11th round. Whereas AJ started to pick up steam a little bit, but it wasn't enough. I gave Usyk that round as well. Now we go into the 12th round, and this is my other round where I feel that it's a swing round because I thought that AJ won the first half of the round, but I thought Usyk finished better in the second half of that round. The reason why I gave it to AJ is because AJ landed the bigger shots early in the round. He was landing some big body shots. He landed a right hand that back. It's made Usyk, it actually hurt him momentarily. It didn't hurt him bad, but backed him up. AJ started pressing him. A lot of leaning, a lot of tying up and holding in this fight. Usyk got off in the later half of the rounds. He was drawing more, but he wasn't hitting AJ with anything heavy. They were very light shots. So I gave it to AJ based on the effectiveness of the punches that were landed compared to the amount of punches that Usyk landed in the 12th round. So I scored it 7-5. All right. As far as the decision, again, a judge in there giving AJ 115, 113. I was thinking about it and I'm like, okay, let's say I gave both swing rounds to AJ. I would have had a 6-6. 115, 113 is basically one round off from what I had or what I could have had it. So even though I don't believe AJ won at all, like I think Usyk pretty won clear. I'm not angry at what that judge scored. It's not a wide scorecard. It was more like boom. 116, 114 is basically 8-4, and I'm not mad at that neither. Because I know I had swing rounds in there. I had 2, right? So I felt like everything was good. Again, I enjoyed the fight. I wish AJ took it. He didn't. But this was the best AJ I've seen. He has definitely improved continually, and he's still improving. And what I'm hoping for AJ at this point, as far as him fighting, I hope that he stays with Robert Garcia. I hope that he's more active. He was talking about in the post-fight, the press conference, that he's looking to try to come back late in the year, maybe November. Eddie said December. So hopefully we can get back to him being more active. These 1 fights per year is not really going to make you improve. Plus, stick to your trainer. I hope the chemistry with Robert Garcia is good. I hope the relationship is good between them. Because if it is good, I think he needs to stick to Robert Garcia. And I don't think he needs to keep training and bouncing around. Going and finding new tips and working on some things is cool. But I think he needs to stick to the trainer that changed his game. He changed his game somewhat. He made him better at what he was already good at. All right. And I like the fact that he was aggressive. I like, not too much respect, not too much smiling, not too much touching gloves. Anytime he got hit and he fell back, he stepped back, he came right back forward again. I like that. I want to see more of that. I want to see a mean version of AJ mixed with the technical boxing ability of AJ. I like this defense. I like him slipping and making Usyk miss. I like what I saw. Was it enough? I don't think so. Was it close to enough? He was pretty close. So overall, I like what I saw. I hope AJ sticks to Robert. Because I know when I think of Robert Garcia, we bring up Marcos Maidana, which I brought up in a breakdown. Marcos Maidana came in, or Robert Garcia came in from Maidana after he lost to Devin Alexander, right? It was a shutout loss. And once you neutralize the wild man's power, that was it. He never really had learned how to really box. He was just fighting like a wild man. Once Robert came in, he knew how to mix that power, that aggression with some boxing technique, some good jabs. You know what I'm saying? Then he went on to fight Soto Caras and Josecito Lopez, and he picked up a few wins. So by the time he got the Broner, He was a changed boxer. He got the Broner, he got the Mayweather. He was a completely different guy. He was still a wild boxer, but he knew how to box better. All right, same thing with Jermell Charlo. It's not like when Jermell went over to Derrick James, he didn't look so good in his first fight. When he fought, first couple of fights he had with Derrick James, he's putting more power down. I know he got a knockout against what's his name? I can't remember his name. My bad. But the first couple of fights with Derrick James wasn't all that good. But he kept working with him. He stuck with him. Learned how to put that power down. Mixed a little bit of the boxer that he was, but learned how to put that power down. And now he's one of the best KO artists out there. In the later half of his career, he's knocking out better opponents that he could knock out back then. You know what I'm saying? So I hope he sticks to Robert Garcia and keep working on. You're only 32 years old. You can still improve. Everything you did in this fight that was new, it's your first time trying it out. So now, in defeat, you don't have to fight. It's not like you got knocked out. It's not like you got dominated. You could go on to the next fight and fight another good contender and do even better. Improve more on what you've been working on. Just get better at your craft. Just like when you lost to Andy Ruiz. You lost to him, then you came back slimmer. Started moving, learning how to box on the back foot and lateral move and stuff. Use that jab. You keep switching. You can go in different bags now. And that's what I liked about this fight. This fight, he chose to be the aggressor, but he was still boxing. This was still a boxing, highly technical fight. And I really appreciated it, and I loved it. And we got two good fights. I don't think it was as, it didn't have the dramatics that Wilder and Fury had in their trilogy, or it didn't have the knockdowns, the traded knockdowns in the Klitschko and Joshua fight. We didn't get that, but we got a really highly technical fight between one of the best fighters in the world and one of the best recent heavyweights in years. So I truly appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys, man. You guys were here last night, and we had a good time. It was a great live. And I think the majority of us saw it the same way. Usyk won. Shout out to Usyk. It was a great win. So let's get into the other stuff. Now, mind you, I will make a live eventually speaking on the other fights. There was a lot of fights. There's a lot of fights on the undercard. I do want to speak on some of those fights. There was a Showtime card, all right, with Lipinets and Omar Figueroa. There was also a Navarrete fight on ESPN, which I haven't even been able to get to. So I got to make sure I just review everything that happened over the weekend, and we will talk more about some of those fights. But we got to talk a lot about this AJ win or loss, and what this means going forward. In a live. I will go live at some point, probably tomorrow, and we can discuss further about this fight and what it means and the impact this fight has on the heavyweight division. All right, so look, AJ loses the fight. AJ went and raged in the fight. Now, I saw a little bit of it because I didn't have time to stick around in the zone, and I watched the zone broadcast. The zone broadcast didn't show AJ much of it, but there was clips that came out later showing AJ and his reaction after the fight. All right, he was dropping a lot of F-bombs. He was cursing everybody out, cursing at everybody. He was real aggressive still. All right, and he was highly disappointing to me. All right, very disrespectful. Usyk won the fight, and he's trying to celebrate his win. AJ straight Kanye West him, right? Taking the mic from him, doing a long rant, all right? And he took his belts at some point, threw a couple of his belts out of the ring. He left the ring. He's cursing at people. He's talking crazy to people, being really aggressive. We saw a side of AJ that we never really seen before. And I didn't like it. I was disappointed in it. Now, I wasn't disappointed in him cursing and stuff, or even being upset. It was the fact that he took away from Usyk's moment on his victory as if he got robbed. And him throwing the belts out the ring, that was out of line. That's actually, if it was somebody else, it would have been it probably would have been some sort of brawl. You know what I'm saying? We seen brawls and fights, and I thought what he did was very disrespectful, and he was out of character. But you know what? He was aggressive since the moment he walked out of that dressing room. You saw it in his face, and I think the reason why we seen him act this way, and I actually brought this up with Teddy Atlas, because Teddy Atlas was the main guy that was saying he loses too easy. He takes a loss too easy. Like, he's always cool with his losses. I think the reason why he reacted differently in this fight, as opposed to how he reacted to the Ruiz loss or the first Usyk loss, is because he felt in his mind, I did everything I could do to win this fight. And that's not an excuse. His behavior is totally out of line. All right? I hated that. I hated his reaction. I'm sitting here watching it, and it's making me sick to my stomach the way that he reacted. And I'm talking about right after the fight. I'm not talking about the post-fight press conference and anything like that. He's already responded to what his behavior at the press conference. He's already tweeted about it, basically apologizing for his behavior. And I respect it. And I didn't like it. But I don't want this to be the main thing everyone remembers. And it's starting to look that way because everybody has to eat on it. The media has to eat on it. The content creators have to eat off his reaction because it's news. It's going to get clicks. It's going to get views. So everybody's focusing on the reaction of AJ and totally forgot about the fight. So even though, and I'm not defending him, I hated it, but I'm not going to go on forever about it because it was bad, it was nasty, but he already responded and reacted to it as a professional. He said he was out of line. He explained why he reacted that way, and let's all move on. You know what I'm saying? Listen, this guy has been squeaky clean his whole career. Outside of some DMs that was sent or some social views that he put out there that some people may dislike, I don't even think that's bad. I think the bad thing is him behaving the way he did. And you know what? If you've been squeaky clean your whole career and you finally lash out, that's years of building up, of hearing all the things that you heard, and he just lashed out and let it all out. It was unprofessional. I hope to never see it again from him because he doesn't seem to be that kind of guy. I'm not going to paint him as that guy now because he did that one time. You know what I'm saying? He's not Conor McGregor. All right? What he did is that Conor McGregor has done a lot of things. Adrian Broner has done a lot of things. Mike Tyson, my favorite all time, did a lot of things. Let's talk about out of character. These are people that we love. We love some of these fighters. When Khabib jumped out of the ring and started attacking people in the crowd in the UFC, these are people that done things, crazy things in fights. We already know what's up. We know Andrew Galata. We know what happened with him and Bo. We knew what happened with Zab Judah and Mayweather. We know we've seen this before. All right, we've seen a lot of people rage out and act out of character. This was bad. Look what happened with Wilder in this situation, in that fight, in the rematch with Fury. We went a whole year talking about Glovegate, all right, spiked water. Okay, there was a lot that went on, and that dragged out, and that's still being dragged out by some fans when the opportunity is there to bring it back up. So with all that being said, AJ, I didn't like it, but he already fixed the situation. He's not dragging it out. He could easily do it, but he's not, and I respect that. All right, so as far as that, we're past that. At least I'm past it. People are going to eat off it. Whatever. Do what you got to do. But that's my last time talking about it. You know, if he didn't apologize and he kept going on and on and on, then I would have been like, all right, you know what? This dude, he's acting like a clown. He's a straight clown. He's a bozo now. I don't feel that way because he overreacted. Nobody's seeing what we're doing every single day, you know? So if this was a constant thing, I would feel differently about it. But it's not. All right? With that being said, as far as moving on, the future, Tyson Fury, exactly why I don't pay attention to Tyson Fury. I said, what do I always say about Tyson Fury? Fury is a marketing genius, man. He's always going to talk. He'll talk about retirement today. He'll talk about returning tomorrow. He'll talk about AJ today. He'll diss him. Then he'll show his respect the next day. Tyson Fury is totally unpredictable, but he's also a marketing genius. And he is interested in this fight. I didn't think for 1 minute that he was going to really retire. I've said that since day one. All right? Because it's going to make him look so bad not taking this fight at this stage. At this stage, it would look too bad. So Fury and Usyk, let's get it on. Let's get undisputed. As far as AJ, get back in the ring quick. Get it in. Get one of those fights in. And let it be someone good. Let it be a Joyce. You know what I'm saying? Let it be a Daniel Dubois. Let it be any of them, guys. You know why? Because you're at that level. You don't need to come down a few notches down. You never done that his whole career. All the fighters was good. Parker. You know what I'm saying? Fighting Joseph Parker. Brazil was undefeated. Charles Martin was undefeated. Povetkin was still a killer. Knocked out Dillian White way after Joshua already stopped him. You know what I'm saying? He's fought nothing but good fighters. You don't need to go down to a Tom Swartz. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to fight a Chris Arreola. You don't need to go down that far. Get another good fight in. You know? So with that all being said, yo, keep doing your thing. As far as Usyk, wish him luck against Tyson Fury. That's a completely different fight right there. You know, those are the top two guys right now, and that's a completely different fight. Whatever works for Usyk up to this point, it's going to be different with Fury. But also with Fury and the success that he's had, I never seen him fight anyone nearly as skilled as Usyk. He might not have the power of Wilder, you know what I'm saying? He might not have that, but he brings in a different danger. All right? Can't wait to see that fight. Also, and I'll end it with this. AJ, Wilder, let's get it together, man. Like, what else do we have to lose? I see Wilder's already tweeting. Listen, let's move on from all that. We all still want to see it. I'm tired of the talking. I'm tired of people bringing up money and all this, that. Let's just get it on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think neither one of those fighters have anything to be ashamed of. And I'm talking about AJ and Wilder. They basically lost the two guys that we all knew were more skilled than them before the first fight. In both matchups, between both matchups, we knew going in that Usyk was more skilled than AJ. We knew that Wilder was more skilled than Fury. Wilder was able in 3 fights to knock down Fury 4 times, almost knocking him out in the first fight. AJ was able to go in here and have a real boxing match with Usyk, almost winning, doing very well. It's nothing to be ashamed of. So let's quit all the talking, because I think that's still a legacy fight. You know, all this Hall of Fame talk, this and that. There's no reason at this point why AJ and Wilder can't get it on. It's still a big fight. That's a fight that I'm willing to travel to. I'll take out a loan to get great seats for that fight. All right? Whatever it costs, I want to be there for that. And hopefully we get undisputed next. We shouldn't be anything stopping that. I know Fury is talking about a lot of money and all that stuff. Listen, make it work. Because we only got one shot to get this done. Because this Usyk got 3 belts. Got mandatories that's waiting. You know, Fury got to get hit. Let's get it together. Fury, if he wins this fight, he can retire. Or maybe he says, you know what? AJ's still out there. Maybe he fights AJ down the line. I still want to see the AJ fight, because for the Brits, that'll be their biggest fight. All right? I think everything should work. I think everybody needs to calm down a little bit and appreciate what we're getting from these guys. All right? I do. I appreciate it. All right? Stop focusing on the negative things too much. Yes, we can bring it up. We could talk about it. But nothing that happened last night is being dragged. Everything that happened last night ended last night. So let's leave it at that. At least I'm going to leave it at that. You guys do what you want. All right. So anyway, I think that is my review of this. I will speak on it more. Definitely gonna go live at some point, speak on this, speak on the other fights, talk more about the heavyweight division and what I can see for the future for these guys. And that's it. All right. So anyway, please drop a like button, hit that, smash that like button, drop a comment, subscribe if you are new here. Please hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.